because last week I mentioned to you that we're asking every member of Calvary, in becoming a wholehearted follower of Jesus to do three things: see God, share life, serve others. Every one of us. See God. Get involved in a Sunday school class. Come to Sunday morning. That'll give you the tools to follow Him during the week. Share life. Get involved in a life group, whether it be on campus with Tommy Weir or one of the other good ones, or whether it be in a home group. Either way, fantastic. Get involved in one. And finally, serve others in our city, in our world, in our church. We're just going to start with our church. We're going to talk a lot more about our city and our world and some thrilling things with missions and mission trips and building feeding centers and all that we're going to be doing, God willing, in September. We don't want to pile it all on too quick. Let's start with serving in our church. I want 7 individuals to come, and I'm going to have them come one at a time. And they are representing 7 areas of ministry at Calvary Baptist that you can be involved in. Now, this doesn't include leadership, teachers, trustees, deacons, etc. We appoint that or elect that. These are areas you can volunteer to serve in. There are 7 of them. And before we introduce these 7 folks, let me say this. If you're serving in 3 or 4 or 5 different ministries, here's what I'm going to tell you this morning. You might need to cut back. Somebody should have recorded that. You may never hear a preacher say that again. You might need to cut back to 1 or 2 so you can put your heart and time in it fully. So we're not asking anybody who's already involved in ministry in our church to take on more. But here's what we are doing. We're asking everybody to at least take on one. I'm going to introduce them to you, then I'm going to tell you exactly what this can look like, and then we're going to be done, all right? First of all, we have this morning Mr. Dan Bickle. Dan's going to come, and one of our youth, if you'd go, you're going to hold a sign for Dan so people know where to go. So any one of you, thank you. Dan's coming. Dan is the head of all things hospitality at Calvary Baptist Church. That means his team of people are helping with greeting people, welcoming people, getting all around the congregation, especially on a Sunday morning, helping out in the parking lot, getting a bulletin in hand, following up with first-time guests, and that process of just making people feel at home. If you're extroverted, if you love meeting people and love giving people that positive first impression, that's just some of what this group does. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you're already a part of this team or you're already a part of other ministries, that's awesome. Have a good lunch here in a minute. But if you're not involved in one and you think that's kind of up your alley, that's kind of what you're built to do, come down here. It'll take 3 minutes. Give Dan your phone number and your name, and within 2 weeks, he's going to call a meeting with his team of folks, and nothing cut out in stone. He's just going to meet with you, find out what your gifts are, and find out what might be a good fit for you. That sound good? Okay. Dan Bickle with hospitality. Our second team leader that's going to come, who'll be leading this year at Calvary, is the leader of our communications team, and that is Melanie Gibson. Melanie, come on up, and one of our youth hold this sign for her if you would. Our communication team handles our website, handles all of our social media, Twitter and Facebook and all that, handles our printed materials. Everything that goes out from bulletins on with Calvary's name on it is done by them. They handle all the decorations for series and these banners and all the work that goes into that. So many things. Everything that's communicated by this church to our community, to our church, flows through this group. I'm not going to brag on all the leaders because I could take hours. They've done an amazing, amazing job. That is the communications team led by Ms. Melanie Gibson. If that's your deal, come give her your name, give her your number. Within 2 weeks, she'll have a meeting. That's the last time I'll say that and not repeat myself. The third team is our kids/youth team, and the funnel for this is Mr. Charles Hill, our operations administrator here at Calvary. He's going to come. Let's have one of our youth will come, and he's going to pass them out for a bit, and he'll probably be down on the end, but we'll have a sign for him. If you want to work with kids from the nursery to the youth department, If that's your interest, if that's what you're good at, and that means sometimes checking them in, handing out a bulletin to them, working with sound in there, or that may mean teaching or small group. Okay? If that's your interest level, all that is going to flow through Charles Hill. He'll get you the packet of information, background check. We obviously have high standards for maintaining safety and quality for our kids. But listen, if that's your passion, that might be a fit for you. Come see him, let him get your name here in a few minutes. Our next category is our worship team led by Mr. Brandon Hochstetler over here, singing in the choir, working with our orchestra, being involved with all things audio, visual, PowerPoint. There's folks up there that do that every single week, putting the words up. We film these services and send them out to widows and shut-ins. There are things that go on with our worship team every single week, and that's one you can get into almost immediately in some capacity. Brandon's going to be down here. He's already down there, and somebody will come hold a sign for him for our worship team. Next team is our facilities team, led by Mr. Ron Adams, who actually is on staff, does this as well as our outreach events, and somebody will come hold his sign for him. Facilities is, I like to mow, I like to fix, I like to build. Pastor, I'm good with my hands, man. I like to clean. I mean, that's my gift. That's what I do. Ron's your guy to come and let him know just your phone number today, and within 2 weeks he'll have a meeting and you'll go over that if that's your skill set. Next team is our member care team led by Mr. Lauren Everett, longtime worship pastor and pastor in his own right, as well as Mrs. Everett, who happens to be my mama. That's how Texans say it. And this is the member care team. Wow, y'all just took the whole thing down. The member care team, if your heart is to visit people in the hospital, if your heart is to visit a shut-in who can't come to church, if you like to take a plate of food to a young lady that just had a baby and they're going through all the adjustments of that, if your heart is to help people that are going through trials and difficulties and just care for people, this is one that is already starting to pick up steam, and I expect to grow to all new things in the near future. If you're a people person and a servant like that, they're the ones you want to see. And finally, I am going to personally lead a prayer team. And the prayer team this year is going to be, and I'll meet you down there in just a minute, my sign guy. Thanks, Will. The prayer team is going to be, we have entities on campus that pray specifically for somebody's having surgery, somebody has a physical need. That's beautiful. We want that. We're going to continue to do that. I'm telling you, this team is going to be dedicated to praying for spiritual things, for the salvation of souls, for the breaking down of strongholds. A lot of us don't even really know how to pray like that. It's like, oh, God save souls. How do you do that for the next 30 minutes? Just repeat it over and over? No, we're going to learn how to claim promises from the Scripture and come together and wrestle with God, which is some of the most important work in the church for Him to do great things in hearts and lives. So if you join this group, there's going to be some teaching involved for all of us. And then we are really going to go forward, particularly at special moments for the church where we come together and pray. And a whole bunch of our shut-ins who feel like life's passed them by and they can't do anything are going to be an integral part of this team, praying for what God's going to do. Now, all of you, if you would, spread out just a bit. Let's spread out all the way to both walls. Here's what I want to do. Let's all stand. If you're already involved in the ministry, awesome. If you are doing ministry, but nobody knows about it, you're already serving people or helping widows or whatever, God bless you. We do want to know. Come down to this team and put your number on here so we'll know that. And if you're not involved in one of these, please come down. You're not committing to anything. You are saying, I have an interest level. Within 2 weeks, they'll contact you and you'll have a meeting. They'll be up here right after service. Okay? Share life. Serve others. See God. There'll be some great stuff.